Hey guys, Chauncey Phillips here with my August 11th DVD update, where I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I received to review and talk about for you guys over the last, well, it's been a while since I've done a standalone non-horror update video, so it's been a couple months since I've done one of these, but some really cool stuff to show you guys. Like I always say too, if you guys enjoy these update videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also, leave me comments below this video letting me know what you guys thought about the titles I checked out, if you guys have seen any of them, any DVDs and Blu-rays coming up that you guys would like me to review for future updates, and some of the new DVDs and Blu-rays that you guys have picked up recently. Now, the first one I got here is from Arrow Video. This is a Terry Gilliam film called Tideland. I always really like Terry Gilliam's films. You know, this film is a super trippy movie, but all of his films are very, very trippy, especially one of his more recent ones, Zero Theorem. But he also directed 12 Monkeys, which Arrow Video is going to be releasing, coming up, which I can't wait for that release. And he also worked with Monty Python on a number of the Monty Python films. So always really, really liked his stuff. And this is a movie about this girl who's like sort of lives out. The area where this is filmed kind of reminds me of that movie, The Reflecting Skin, a little bit, like the way it's like with the fields and everything and the way it's lit and everything. It's got that similar kind of setting to where The Reflecting Skin takes place, and it's like this kind of farm kind of area in the middle of nowhere kind of vibe. It's basically about this girl who, her parents, played by Jeff Bridges and Jennifer Tilly. Jeff Bridges are kind of like, using drugs and really like they're not great parents. And this girl is kind of like escaping reality in her imaginary world with like her dolls and her toys. And like, it's like these really amazing sequences of her in her imaginary world. And it's kind of all about the people that are around where she lives and all these weird neighbors and all sorts of weird, like I said, super, super trippy stuff. Release-wise though, it has on here though a commentary track on here with Terry Gilliam. It has a introduction here by the director. It has a 45-minute documentary in the making of the film with director from the director who did Cube and the film Splice. Cube, though, I absolutely love Cube. That's such a great movie. It has the making of Tideland featurette. It has filming the green screens on here, commentary with Terry Gilliam. Because like I said, a lot of it was all done like in green screens in the imaginary world that the kid had created it. As well as it has on here B-roll footage on here, has interviews on here, archival interviews, as Terry Gilliam and Jeff Bridges. So tons and tons and tons of features on this release. Also in here as well, it has a booklet with some pictures like from the film and some facts and stuff like that about it. But like I said, the setting kind of looks a little bit like, if you guys have seen that movie Reflecting Skin, a little bit. That's like another really great movie you don't hear about too often. The next one here is from Sony. And it's a movie here called Alien Code. This is like sort of like an alien kind of time travel sort of kind of vibe movie like that. It's basically about this guy though who ends up coming down and seeing in his living room there's someone like on the ground, and he looks up and the guy is like dying on the ground, and it's like him. He sees like himself, like another version of himself, and then right afterwards these people come to like the door of his house saying that they need his help because this guy is like a computer hacker, and he's kind of like amazing with like hacking into things and knows all kinds of computer things and stuff like that. So they end up like recruiting him in. So it kind of flashes back and forth in the different times of what's going on. But it's essentially though there's something that they need to like decipher, and it's trying to figure out this stuff. And this guy kind of comes in there, and of course it deals with sort of alien type things. But of course, though, once he starts doing this and like going into this coding and stuff, it's like has people kind of coming after him and all sorts of kind of problems going on and all sorts of kind of stuff. It's a pretty, like I said, kind of a pretty cool like alien kind of sort of time travel, kind of like trying to like little by little you find out more and more what everything means. This has in here Mary McCormack, who I always think of from the Howard Stern film, playing Howard Stern's wife in Private Parts. Like a pretty interesting, science fiction film. The next one's here. I'll put a link below where you guys can order these for the best prices. And this one, I'm so glad this one finally has a Blu-ray release in the U.S. And this is Being the Movie. And this is one of those movies. When I think of this too, I think of, I remember like being in this computer type camp, and this is like right before the movie came out. I always remember like watching clips, because this movie released a little earlier in the UK, so I remember like watching clips, like little clips and stuff of the movie. That was like one of the first times I remember really like watching clips of like something on the internet. So as this kid watching these clips of this movie. But I've always been the biggest fan of Mr. Bean, like the Mr. Bean TV series. I watched watched, always been watching them since the beginning. I remember having the VHS tapes. So, like, I absolutely love this movie. Like, this is basically about Mr. Bean coming to America because he works this art gallery. He's basically sort of like the security guy. They kind of don't really know what to do with him, but they need someone to come to America and kind of like bring this Whistler's Mother painting. And no one at the art place really wants to do it. And they also are tired of Mr. Bean like messing up things at the art gallery, so they want to kind of get rid of him. So they send him to America, and he kind of poses as a doctor, and he acts like he actually knows about this painting, and he goes and stays with the guy who works at the museum. And he's an actor who played, Janos in Ghostbusters 2. I always think of him as Janos. But this movie though, to me, is absolutely hilarious. There's some like absolutely ridiculous things when it comes to like movies that are like my most watched movies that I've watched again and again and again. This is one of them. Same with the Mr. Bean series. Some of like the sayings from Mr. Bean that he says, like I say all the time, like if it's hot out. You guys remember in the show when he was like staying in that hotel room and it was really hot and he's like, so hot. Like, I don't know, like Mr. Bean really, like it's one of those things that really like went into my like mindset all the time. And like I said, really glad this finally has a US Blu-ray release. The next one here, like I said, I have a link for this one as well, where to order this for the best price. And this is the Steve Martin film. You don't hear about this much. It stars Steve Martin and, who else was in this? Charles Grodin, and who I always think of from Clifford, and of course, and from Beethoven. But Clifford was like one of my favorite things he was ever in. I love that movie. That's one of those ones. Hopefully someday that finally gets a Blu-ray release. This is a movie here called The Lonely Guy, and this is like I said, this one you don't hear about too often. I always really liked this movie. I thought it was another funny movie. And this was from 1983, so it was a little bit after The Jerk. I think that he did this, but like all those movies that he did in the 80s, like this, The Jerk, The Man with Two Brains, it was just some of probably the most like timeless, like live-on comedy movies of all time, especially The Jerk. Like I watched that again recently, and that's just such a funny movie. This one as well is like he plays like a down on his luck kind of guy who's kind of depressed because he finds out that his girlfriend was cheating on him, and it's kind of him like kind of depressed about this, and he's kind of talking to Charles Grodin's character who's really depressed as well, and none of them are really having a lot of luck, getting dates or anything. So they're all kind of sad and kind of wallowing in their own life and self-pity. But like it's basically about Steve Martin writing a book about someone being lonely, and it's kind of like changes his whole life and everything. But it's a funny, very, very funny movie, and it's like I said, it's one of the ones you don't hear about as much. The next ones here are from Gravitas Ventures, and this one I have to say, this gets a top recommendation, but this movie is seriously a messed up movie, and it's like, I'm going to try and explain this as like PG as I can, because it is extremely out there, but it's a movie here called Who's Watching Oliver? And it's about this guy who lives in I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be Thailand. I looked it up. I'm pretty sure that's where they filmed this. Because I kept on thinking, where is this filmed? Because I don't think it says in the movie itself, like in the opening or anything, unless I missed it. But it's about this guy, this really, really weird guy who dresses in this, like, he's always wearing like a certain type of wardrobe all the time. And he's like real, like slicking his hair back and all these, he's like real weird things that he does. And it sort of starts out like it's going to be like this normal kind of movie. And then it's like goes in these crazy directions because he's like, he goes out and brings back this woman to his house, and then he turns on the computer and it's like turns on thing like Skype, and his weird old mother is on the webcam drinking these like martinis, and she's like saying, "Do this, Oliver. Do this, Oliver. Sleep with her, Oliver." And like, bad stuff's going on that he's telling her to do, this girl, like against her will. I guess I'm keeping this PG, but it's like really messed up what's going on, and like really insane. He's like killing these women, and it's like one of the most out there things. It's definitely like sort of like Greasy Strangler kind of territory, like one of those amazing, like so weird movies. And they film at this like amazing setting of this like this theme park that he's always going to and sitting there all the time, and he ends up meeting this girl, and it's kind of like he starts to kind of like this girl and starts talking to her, and it's kind of like she's got her own sorts of problems as well, and it's just pretty much about him being totally controlled by his mother. He has to take these kind of crazy pills so he doesn't like freak out. But it is one of those movies that is so out there and so weird, and is going to go down, I think, as being like a cult classic if people see it. Hopefully people see this movie, because not something I heard about too much, but definitely like this. No, it is very, very twisted and very very, very out there, but is one of those movies I think will probably live on down the line because it really has that kind of out there vibe. And the next one here is from Groucho's Ventures as well. It's a movie here called Adventures in Public School, and this stars Judy Greer. Russell Peters is in this movie, and this is, like I said, it's Adventures in Public School, and it's about this kid who has always been homeschooled by his mother, and like she's real protective and really like afraid of him really doing anything. She's always like kind of like really clingy and doing everything with him all the time, and he's getting ready to graduate from, you know, the last year of homeschool, which would be like the 12th grade, and he has to actually go to take these, you know, tests to actually, like the SAT or whatever, like the test to kind of pass, and he has to actually go to a school. But when he goes to this school, he ends up seeing this one girl that he, like, you know, because he's never really been out of the house much, sees this girl that he likes, so he purposely ends up doing bad on the tests, so then he can like say to his mother, oh, you know, I would like to finish and take a couple, you know, weeks of school in this school and see what it's like in the real world. And of course the mother doesn't know that he did this on purpose to see this girl. And it's essentially about him, and how they do it is they don't have any space in the school, but there's one girl who's like sick and been out of school for a while, so he ends up taking her place, so everyone's like calling her the name. It's like this weird running gag kind of thing going on, but it's essentially, you know, when he gets to school for the first time, it's him there, of course, trying to impress this girl and trying to like get to know her, but as well like doing like kind of crazy stuff without his mother for the first time. It really was actually a pretty fun movie here, for sure though. The next one is from Groucho's Ventures as well. This is one called Before Someone Gets Hurt, and this is about like a kind of ghost hunting kind of show, and there's this house where they had all sorts of like kind of murders and stuff that happened in it, and they end up wanting to go there and do like a show, you know, in this location. And of course, like they've been warned that it's like really dangerous and everything, so they all like decide to go there and film this show. So they set up all the cameras and everything. But the second they get in there, they like, you know, of course, things go horribly wrong, and they end up pretty much trapped in there, and like the doors won't open, and there's like no way, the windows won't break, they can't figure out exactly how they're going to get out of there, and little by little, weird things start to happen to them, to, you know, while they're in there, and they're all trying to figure out exactly, you know, what's going on and how they're going to get out of this place, and also trying to like look at the research of what had happened in the past and see if that can like help them lead to, you know, getting out of this situation. And because like you said, you know, anytime they do one of those ghost hunting shows and you know they're doing a movie about it, you know it never ever goes well. This is from Groucho's Ventures as well, and it's a movie starring Dean Cain, and a movie called The Incantation. And this is about a girl who's, I think it was her grandfather, you know, she never met, and this was set in France, and like her grandfather that she never met had died. And she ends up getting like, she wants to go there and like see this kind of place where he like, you know, where he had died and like where he lived, because he was someone who had a lot of money and everything. So she goes there to like see if there's like any inheritance and all that kind of thing. So when she gets there though, it's like really odd. There's like odd people there. The people who live there are really strange. And there seemed like there was some kind of a weird kind of like cult type thing that this grandfather was involved in. And like Dean Cain's character comes around too, and he's like acting really weird, like this weird salesman type guy. It's like really odd stuff going on. Of course though, she gets there, and it's like little by little she starts discovering about this family's past and all sorts of like, it's like a really was not a good decision to go here. But it's a really great setting though. Like I said, this is all filmed in France, and it's filmed at this really cool kind of like castle mansion and everything. So it definitely has like a really, really great setting as well, because that's the thing with some of these movies, what can really make or break them is like if it's like the house is not that great or anything. But this actually has a really, really cool like castle setting. And the next one's here from CBS Paramount. One of you guys know these ones are available. And this is NCIS, which is Naval Crime Investigation Service, the complete 15th season. It's hard to believe this show's gone on for 15 seasons. And it's one of those shows, I've only seen like episodes here and there of this throughout the years. And this is basically, though, if you guys don't know the show, it's basically about investigating like cold cases and like running sting operations. It's like this team, and that's basically what they're doing. And it's on here, though, it's got a whole bunch of different featurettes on here. It has commentaries on select episodes. It has some featurettes on here on the special effects, on the visual effects, the stunts, and then some featurettes on like shooting the show as well. And then it has Inside NCIS Season 15. And I might be wrong, but I think this was the last season that the actress, that her last season of this show. I don't know if there was one more after this. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure that it was. this. But like I said, want to let you guys know this one is available here, and here's a little look at the discs themselves here for this. And the other one from CBS Paramount as well is another show. This is going on. This is the complete 13th season of this, and this is Criminal Minds here, season 13. This is basically about profiles who can like profile like criminals and all that kind of stuff, and like solving like these kind of like heinous type of bad kind of crimes and everything. Another one though, I have not seen a lot of episodes throughout the years. Like I said, I didn't even know that it had gone on this many years. I always think of this actor here though, Joe Montana, from, of course, you know, Fat Tony, to the voice of Fat Tony in The Simpsons, but like one movie that I really love called Thinner, like he was amazing in that movie. I know no matter what, I always think of him from Thinner. Like that's like the first thing I always think of him from. I don't know why, but it always has been. But on here, though, this has on here a bunch of different featurettes on here. It has a gag reel, has pilot episode of SEAL Team, pilot episode of Bull. It has deleted and extended scenes on selected episodes on here, as well as some featurettes on like the making of some of the episodes as well on this one. And here's a little look at the discs as well in this set. But like I said, just to let you guys know, these ones are going to be releasing, I think they release in like a week or so. And this one as well, another one I want to let you guys know is going to be coming out, releasing soon. And this is from a Cinemax TV series. This is a show here called Strike Back. And this is the complete 5th season of the show. And this is the season 2 when they changed out a lot of the characters, like a bunch, like the whole new team came in this one. This has in here, too, a digital copy of it as well. But like I said, just to let you guys know, this one is available. And this has in here bonus features on here. It has a Season 5 Disclassified, gets an inside look at each episode as on this one of the special features. This is one thing I was really interested in seeing, and this is from Disney. And, you know, the original series of this, and this is Muppet Babies. This is the new, the new version of the Muppet Babies. And it's done, you know, in computer animation. But it's done to kind of look like puppets, the way they did the animation in the computer. It kind of made it have like a felt kind of puppet kind of look to it. But when I think of what like some of my first memories of watching something on TV, the first things I remember watching was the Muppet Babies and watching Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like those are some of my earliest memories of the earliest things I remember seeing. And so I like absolutely love the Muppet Babies, and it's crazy too. The original series of this has never come to DVD. There's never been, at least in the US, there's never been anything, which is crazy. It's kind of lost. It's like, you don't really see it on TV anymore. So hopefully, since this show has come back now, maybe down the line, Disney will put out like a complete series or something like that of the original one. But this show it has like some throwbacks to that, because like the opening theme song has like the similar type song, like they kind of redid it and they changed a few things about it. And there's some new characters in this one, and like some of the characters that were from the original, are not in this one, like the dog and some of the other ones that I remember, like the baby character and everything. So it's like different, but it's basically about the Muppet Babies, and it's like the Muppets when they're kids, and like pretty much just the kind of adventures they get in. But like, want to let you guys know this is available. This has on here though, it has 1, 2, 3. It has 4 episodes of this show, and each of the episodes have 2 parts to them. Then it has some bonus episodes on here, as well as some shorts, as well as 6 music videos as well on this one. The next one here is from PBS, and this is Garfield's Halloween Adventure. This is another thing that I remember as a kid watching this one, all the time. This is, this has, the Garfield going trick-or-treating episode. And I don't know, as a kid, though, another thing, I watched this so often. And the other thing, when I kind of think of this, I always think of, like, I don't know why, like, compared to this, I always think of, like, I would watch this, and then, like, the Peanuts. You know what I mean? Like, Charlie Brown, Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, and some of those things. I don't know why. Like, certain things, like, I remember watching them together and that stuff like that as a little kid. But this is cool that this is, released on DVD. I don't know if it's been released in the past or not. It also has in here Garfield Goes to Hollywood. It was another one of those episodes I remember watching a lot. The next one here is from MVD, and this is from their Marquee line. They're going to be releasing a lot of stuff on this line. They're releasing, I think, the Barbershop films, I think Beauty Shop. There's a couple other things they're releasing as well, but the MVD is releasing tons of stuff, so it's really cool to see them putting out so much stuff. And this is the movie that The Rock did, and also Johnny Knoxville's in this. This is Walking Tall, and I think there was a sequel to this too. I don't know if The Rock was in the sequel. I might be wrong. I know this was actually a remake of a film from the 70s, I think it was. And this is basically about The Rock's character who is like, it's kind of like his town has kind of been like, there's a lot of crime and all sorts of bad stuff that's going on in the town, and he ends up getting the job as the sheriff in the town to try and, like, you know, clean up the town and everything. But it's sort of about him dealing with like all sorts of like, kind of like him trying to get like, almost, even though he's a sheriff, he's trying to get like vigilante justice on trying to clean up the town, and everyone's kind of coming after him because he's trying to clean up the town and everything. It's like a whole bunch of crazy stuff. This was an early rock film. This was from 2004. I don't know. I think this one is one of his really, really early ones. Like, I don't know for sure when his first ever movie was that he acted in, but this might have been one of the earlier ones. And you don't hear about this one as much. This has on here a commentary track on here with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a commentary track on here with the cast and crew, deleted scenes, bloopers, alternate ending, and a photograph in this one. The next one here is from Cleopatra Entertainment, and this is Sunset Society, and this is a movie that stars Lemmy. And this movie, I think there was some of it was filmed like years back, and then like because like this stuff with Lemmy, because Lemmy passed away a little while, a year or so back. Lemmy though I always loved his music, and also he was in a lot of Troma films, like Romeo and Juliet and Return to Nukem High. He was in the opening. Like, I was thinking of him from Troma. That's kind of how I discovered him. But this is basically though, like I said, some of it I think is shot years back, certain pieces of it. And this is about like this underground society of vampires, like these Hollywood kind of like elite type. And like it was run by Lemmy's character. And the beginning of this, some of the new footage was like this guy that was getting like, you know, questioned and like beaten up because like there was this footage that was filmed of these vampires, and it was going to get out, and the people were going to like leak it to everybody, and so they're kind of coming after them and everything. And then they play the footage of what it was, and it's kind of like done sort of found footage a little bit about like footage of like filming the vampires and like secret footage of what they were up to and their rituals and all that kind of stuff on here. This has on here the theatrical trailer and an image slideshow, and I believe there's also a release of this that has like a vinyl as well. I'm pretty sure there's one of those versions as well of it. And the next one here is from VCI, and this is a double feature Grindhouse collection here, and this is from both films from director S.F. Browning, and this is two different films, Don't Look in the Basement and Don't Open the Door. I think Don't Open the Door had another title as well. I might be wrong about that, but this is also a DVD and a Blu-ray combo of this, and this is a brand new 2K restoration of Don't Look in the Don't Open the Door has the new 2K restoration, and then Don't Look in the Basement, I think that's what it is. Don't Look in the... Yeah, that one has a new 1080p restoration on here. There's a commentary track on here for Don't Look in the Basement with film historian and Dave Dakota, theatrical trailers, as well as Grindhouse trailers. But Don't Look in the Basement, though, I always really liked that movie. And it's like set in an insane asylum about this woman who's like a nurse there, and like kind of like the patients have kind of like run havoc, and there's all sorts of really crazy stuff. And I love the one guy who wanted to get this popsicle. Like, I that his character, but it's basically about like these kind of like total insane stuff with these patients. And I always, like I said, I always really liked this movie. I thought it was just like a really crazy, I love movies set in like nut houses. And it was like set in like a weird kind of like nut house that kind of reminded me of one of the Friday the 13th was set in a kind of a house sort of like that a little bit. But like I said, want to let you guys know this one was available, and like I said, it's a cool combo pack though with both of the ones in here. And the next one here is from Unearthed Films, and this is from, I believe, from the Guinea Pig series, and this is a new film here called Song of Solomon, which stars Jessica Cameron, and this is like, I'm just covering this up because it's a little bit gory here. This is basically, though, about this girl who's possessed, and like her mother calls like this priest, and they kind of come in to, you know, try and like exorcise her and like, you know, get the demon out. But it's like, you know, it's like sort of like an exorcist kind of vibe, like you think, but then it goes into like the insane stuff, because, you know, if you know the Guinea Pig series, they're all about the gore effects, like being super, super insane gore. And it's kind of like the stuff that these priests are doing themselves because like they're being forced to do it by the possessed girl. And it's like super gory. Like, and that's essentially, it focuses all on like all kinds of like insanity that goes on in this. This has on here, though, a commentary track in here with Jessica Cameron has a commentary track on here with some of the special effects artists, interviews with Jessica Cameron, interview with the writer and director director, and he also has a commentary on here as well. Behind the scenes, outtakes, photo gallery, so a whole bunch of different features on here, but a really, really crazy out there situation about these priests trying to exorcise this girl, and they believe too that there's like something really important to this girl. So like I don't know, there's some real crazy stuff going on in this. And the last one here is from a company called Wow Now, and it's a movie here called Enter the Wild, and this is about a group of these friends who are going to are basically trying to find this this sort of like rare tree, and it's pretty much about the journey that they're going on to try and get to this area, and like they're going through the woods and hiking in this like kind of like jungle type area, because a lot of times too if movies are set in the woods and stuff, it's just kind of like they're walking through the trees and everything. This one actually has stuff about them like belaying down mountains, and they have all sorts of like treacherous kind of stuff that they have to go through to try and get to the area that they're going in. But of course though, they get out there, it's pretty much about, you know, weird sorts of things start to happen in the way, like kind of stuff that they're encountering and what's going on with them while they're out there on this expedition to try and, you know, hopefully find this rare tree. And it's like, you know, little by little things start to get worse and worse for them out there. But a pretty interesting one, like I said, has a really cool setting as well as the stuff that they're going through on the journey to try and get to this location. But anyway though guys, that's all for their, you know, this update video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.